Okay, so what's that? So I've got the start I wanted with some of those basic extrusions, but now I want to go into a view where I can see these walls, and maybe I want to model some objects that are projected from those instead. So again, I'm going to go to model in place, and then again just generic models, and so I'm going to call these benches. And then again, I'm just going to make an extrusion to begin with. But then I'm going to go to set. So you can see on the main Create Extrusion tab, you should always get this set work plane button. Exactly. Yeah. And so there, I'm going to use pick a plane. So with that pick a plane option, and then OK. Now I can choose any of these surfaces. Right, so I'm just going to choose the the wall surface on the inside, on the top left there. And then so you can see it, I'm going to click Show, and then you can see the plane on that surface. Okay, so now I'm going to simply make a rectangle in plan. In my new plane, and just roughly drawing the shape I want. So you can orbit around to make it clearer what you're looking at, and also if you go to a different view, you will see what you've drawn, even if it's at a different orientation. So that's the rectangle I've drawn viewed from above, and so then I can see that in this section view I'm looking directly at it, and that can make it again easier to work with. And that's something I do want to look at here, because I'm making a bench and I want this to have some kind of support underneath. So I'm going to just roughly get the rough shape I want for my seating, and so just trying to get this to a decent height for a bench, which does vary quite a lot depending on the kind of space it is actually, but something like that might be okay. So 600 off the ground, if it's a yeah, that should be fine. So I'll just finish that temporarily. Back in my plan view, I can get a better idea how that might line up with the things in the image that I'm facing, so I can always stretch the sides there. You might be thinking, well, why didn't I just extrude this from the ground? And show you why. So I'm going to go back to that section view, which I'll just double click to get. So now with edit extrusion, again, I can go back to that shape, and I'm going to draw some more lines that now will give me something I couldn't have just extruded from the ground. So I'll draw something at an angle. Oh, of course, yeah. So you'll see it'll give you can snap to any angle, and you can set all of that. So that angle. Oh, so you can see on the right it's snapping to the different presets.
And once you snap it, the numbers highlight that.
Yeah, yeah. So you can always change it that way. Yeah, so that's one way. Or look, often if you dimension it like this, that makes it easier. So once that number's there, if you select the line, you can always change it.
So you click on the line first, and then you click on the number.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So, no, there's lots of great things like that in Revit, and so again, that might be the shape that I want. And then again, I'll use split and trim to make sure that's still closed. Okay, so just to give you an example of something made from the side, and then
actually extrudes at an angle.
From the side, yeah. So again, just using the extrusion tool, you can do a lot, and then you can combine that. So you might want the front beveled off, and so if I go and look at that in another section view, so in one of these section views, I can see it being cut through, and so then I can make a void extrusion in this view. Okay, so again, here I didn't even need to click set. It's come up asking me for a plane anyway. Okay, but it's still good to remember that if it doesn't ask you, you can always use the set button to force it to ask you. So anyhow, here, pick a plane is the option that I want. Okay, and now I'm going to choose the back wall. So notice how it's highlighting that whole rectangle for that whole outside of the wall. And I'm going to draw again with the line tool, just coming down from the front there, and then across, so I can cut off the front in this shape that I've drawn. So the depth there, 5,000 is probably enough. So I'll finish that and then just show you in 3D. Well, it's made, but it's gone the wrong way. So I drew it, if you remember, on this wall surface when I picked the plane. That was the plane. And so it's made it there, but it's gone backwards. So I'm going to stretch it to make it go forwards, so it crosses over this other shape. Well, yes, I'm going to cut this now. So using the cut button, I can choose now the solid and the void, and that cuts off the front. So, yeah. So that's just combining two extrusions. And so, and that's really close to the way that things are made in real life by builders and other people who make your designs. But, well, think about that form. It really is like you're being beveling. So it's sweeping around that profile to follow the bench. So another way of making something very similar. So over here I'll do another one. Going back to plan view. Well, let's get a starting point from the image. Okay, so I might want a something that's using a curve profile maybe to make it a bit more interesting, and I'll do it on this side. Right, so I'm going to use sweep to do this. So I don't think I've shown you sweep very much. So I know I had a bit of a look at Evolve, but yeah, sweep's quite similar to Evolve. So with sweep, you've got two things that you have to draw: a path and then a profile. So there's the two elements. So you've got to draw the path first, and so under sweep you need to always go sketch path first, or pick path, but sketch path is usually the option. So again, you just draw the shape, and so here I'm just going to draw a line for my profile to follow. Okay, so I've drawn basically a sideways U shape really, so just going across, up and then back across. Notice then as well, I've got this red gizmo. So that's really important. If I go to the 3D view, you'll see it's a plane. So again, think about that idea of planes or 2D profiles. So that's the plane or the profile I'm going to use to draw the shape that's extruded. So back in plan view now, we've got the I've got the section view looking the opposite way. It's looking to the right, but that's okay. I've got an elevation view to the left that's looking at it. So I'm going to go to that elevation view. And double clicking should work, but it doesn't want to, so I'm going to open it. Anyone got an idea what view that'd be? If that's an elevation, it's on the left, so it's always west. that what you think?
West elevation.
Yes, west elevation. Yeah, so north, south, east, west.
Oh, is it always like that?
Yes, yeah, always, yeah. So, so west is obviously here in the elevations.
So
That's it. So, yeah, so then with yeah, well, see, you can hear on the sketch path tab there, you can see I'm still drawing the path. So I can't draw here until I tick to finish the path. And then under sweep again, you can see now it'll let me edit the profile. So it's one of those things you've kind of got to be aware of what you need to make first, because if you don't know, it's hard to know which tool to go into. But again, as long as you're thinking about what a sweep is, the fact that it's a 2D shape that gets sent along a path, and you do the path first. Edit profile to do the shape. And so now I'm simply going to draw a line coming out, something like that, and then an arc. So the arc button is right underneath the line button, the arc button that you're using the most. So I'm going to click a point over to the, just above my line, coming out, and then do a couple more to get the curve that I want. That'll do. And then back to drawing a line, and I'll just take that over and then down. So that's the shape I want for my bench. And so when I finish that, that just finishes the shape. I still haven't finished the sweep yet. And in 3D you'll see it's just got those two elements. So there's my path on the ground. Now I've got my shape. So tick to finish, and it's going to sweep it. So it is a really handy tool. You can do, and again, if you remember that, I always think of the Tom Cruise thing now. I can't stand Tom Cruise, but Oblivion. Yeah, Oblivion. I always think of that Oblivion apartment because I think that was just a really nice detail, nice design, and it's obviously done by an interior designer, and that style of design, it was really big a few years ago. So anyhow, I think that's an easy way of getting that sort of source image that you might be after to make these kinds of basic forms that still look sort of futuristic. And so going into... Yeah, so now, I mean, you could use sweeps and do lots of tricky things to get it, but probably the easiest way is just to go back into plan and do an extrusion with a rectangle. Exactly. Yep. So going over the sweep, and then I'd need to know the height. But like anything in Revit, you can work it out. When I finish this, looking in those section views, we can see through, cut through the model, and well, it's on the other side. So there it is. And using the arrows, I can always stretch it and it will snap to what's already there. So now in 3D, you can see it's all looking like one thing, but we've still got the lines, which is a bit ordinary. So a really useful tool. I've touched on it before, but really wanted to make sure you know this one. Join geometry.
Join G.
Yeah. So that, yeah, that's right, exactly. It's like your tidy up tool. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's really the basis of design. So it's good to do it that way. Yeah. And so now with join, I can just choose those two shapes, the extrusion and the sweep, and they'll look like one. The only reason I've got this line here is, if you notice when I was drawing it, I didn't round off between the last arc and the line, but if I had, that would be a perfect curve.
So if you wanted a simple, for example, like a simple sculpture or something in the room with different shapes, you just do them separately.
Exactly, yeah. And if you look at all the great classical stuff, even the sort of more organic looking, so I'm thinking of the After Baroque, what is it? It's, come on, you guys should know this.
Yeah.
You'd be doing after the chemistry right now. I'm thinking of something else. After Baroque is well, in even Baroque you had a lot of very frilly over the top. Rococo, that's what I was after. Yes. which has the name for being over the top. In some ways, actually, it wasn't as over the top as Baroque, but yeah, it's got that reputation for being really over the top and detailed. But if you look closely at how those things were made, I mean, that's classical, still very classical design, and it is really very standard geometry when you look closely at it, but combined in interesting ways to make the complex forms. So anyhow, just have a look at that, but there's plenty of other great sources of design in those fundamental ways. So I've finished that family. Just to show you the final thing with all of these objects. Now that I've got a few, I'll just do a perspective view so that we can see inside the space. And this is not required. You don't need this at all for the work you'll be doing with Chris, but it just might help you to get a better view of what you've made and start maybe thinking about the design as a space for people. So again, I'm making a perspective using the camera tool. And it's probably my most usual way of viewing things. So this is, whenever I do a design, I'll always try and get into perspective as soon as I can to really see what's happening. But then we can see the different objects, but they're all one colour at the moment, and it's a bit hard to distinguish the different families.
Can you move forward?
Sorry,
Can you move?
oh yes, of course, yeah, sure. So if you use the steering wheel on the right, or the navigation wheel, that's a good way. So just experiment with the different options there, but walk will let you go backwards, forwards, left, right, up and down. And it is a bit like if you've played any first-person shooters or any of those games, the controls are pretty similar. It does help, believe it or not. It does actually help. All that stuff about them giving you brain damage is complete rubbish. They improve your cognitive performance and make you much better at this software. It's been proven. So, yeah, they do. Yeah, they should. I encourage my nephews. Yeah, they definitely should. It's alright, yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad because it's at least 3D. Believe it or not, some of the shooters, even though they're horrible games, are a bit better for the 3D navigation and perspective. Yeah. But even if you want to do what's the one where the kids play, Minecraft? That's great. That's one of the best. Yeah.
I used to nanny these kids and they would be like,
no, it's required in some architecture courses now. Yeah, it is. I'm working in my words. Yeah, we made them do their first design project in Minecraft. Yeah, but look, this isn't far off it. When you can do this, you can do a lot more than you could in Minecraft, but it's a very similar approach. And in Minecraft, they set materials, just like we're doing here. So if when I go to Edit in Place, to get to the material, you just need to select any of the solids, and then in the Properties panel, you'll see the material. So all you need to do to begin with is give different basic materials, so you can differentiate your elements. So I'm just going to show you very quickly how to do that. Here I'm going to start with a simple material, and I'm trying to find, here we are, timber, just so you've all got a common starting point. Then if you right click on the left, duplicate, and then we'll call it, so what was that object that I selected? Column. So I'm going to call it column material. And then the graphics, I'm going to change the colour to something else. That's it. So I know it might seem like a lot of steps that I've gone through in this one video, but that part should be fairly simple. Remember to see the colour. You have to be in the right settings. So here on shaded, and then also probably coarse for the detail. So make sure you can see the colour. And so I'll just do that again. This column, I want it to be the same colour. So I'm going to go to the material here. Now I've selected it, browse, and then you can see column material. Notice it's not changed on the left there. Don't worry about that. We'll be doing that later. But it's got the new colour I want here. So I don't have to make the material again. Because I chose it before when I made the material for the other columns.
So it's the last memory.
Yeah, well the material's made. So the material's a separate thing. You make the material and then you can assign that material to as many objects as you want. So I've made my paint colour really, and that's there. So if I hit OK, yeah, and I'll do it all again with another object. So that's I've done those ones. I'm going to finish that family, and then I'll select this other family, which is my beams. And again, I need to go to Edit in Place, and then again select the beam, go to the material, browse, and then you can see it's got column material. I don't want that colour for the beams, so I'm going to make a new material. And again, the best way to do that is to duplicate. Duplicate one that's already there. So when you right click, duplicate, and then I'll call this beam material. I know I've gone over time, but we have to get this done. Beam material, and then with the colour. Yeah, that's right, just clicking on the colour swatch. I'm not going to go into RGB, red, green and blue, too much today, but I'm going to choose just from the swatches for now. So, yep, that's it. Once you get into it, you can do so much. It is a great design tool. And so I'll finish the video there, but at least if you can make a start on the modelling, start thinking about how to break things up into materials, and